the girl with the deaf family?
Yeah.
I just want to tell you right now.
And you sing. Interesting.
CODA by Sean Hayter tells the story of Ruby, the hearing child of a deaf family of fishermen in Gloucester, Massachusetts. By interpreting sign language, Ruby helps her folks communicate with the hearing world. But Ruby dreams about going off to college to study music, which would mean leaving her family behind. Audible, a short documentary by filmmaker Matthew Ogans and executive producer Niall DeMarco, chronicles the life of high school seniors at the Maryland School for the Deaf as they grapple with the realities of venturing off into a hearing world.
I like to think this is an authentic coming-of-age story, and it has some grit to it. There's some real struggles and tension and conflict, but there's talking about bullying, we're talking about mental illness, we're talking about suicide, we're talking about relationships.
Audible's DeMarco says the film offers a glimpse into the deaf community without the intervention of interpreters.
One of the things that I was, very clear with was that we shouldn't have a voiceover, and the team was very agreeable to the film actually, offering a way for hearing people to be immersed within deaf culture, losing that sense of their bearings essentially like they have in everyday life.
DeMarco, a model, actor, and winner of the Dancing with the Stars competition, says Audible shows there is nothing deaf and hard of hearing people cannot do.
We're human just like hearing people. We approach the same things and, face the same things in high school. And, certainly as we become adults, whether that's, mental health, friendships, relationships, all of our problems are quite universal.
At Gallaudet University, deaf and hard of hearing students and faculty discuss the significance of the films.
My first thoughts was finally, deaf representation on the screen. But to have a full screen movie representing our lives was beyond inspiring. And having two come in such a short span of time, this was just unheard of, it was crazy.
Elias Asefa says CODA helped him understand the perspective of CODAs, or children of deaf adults. But he says unlike what the film shows, deaf people don't need to rely as heavily on interpreters.
So for example, you can write back and forth. Yes, it might take a while, but that's very effective in terms of helping with communication. And also, don't underestimate the value of gesturing. We also have phones, iPads, various devices we can use. So we need to really be able to take advantage of technology.
Hannah grew up in a family that's half hearing and half deaf. She says hearing people inadvertently discriminate against deaf people by often relying on CODAs for communication.
So if a hearing person comes and I'm the one dealing with them, they oftentimes will look at my sister to intervene. She's younger than I. I'm really the older one. You should be talking to me directly. And I think that was one of the things that I saw that I could relate to, that, why are you looking at my younger sister instead of me? She's 13.
They all agree that the awards these films have garnered show how the hearing world is becoming more aware and accepting of the deaf community.
I think we're also having more doors open as a result. We don't find ourselves hitting all these obstacles. Now we're finding ourselves being welcomed in more. We're seeing ourselves on the screen. We've got deaf producers now, directors. There's no obstacle there for us. We can do those positions like anyone else's.
Penelope Pulu, VOA News, Washington.